Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Bike Shed, a podcast from your friends at thoughtbot about developing great software. I'm Aji Slater.
I'm Tess Griffin.
And I'm Jimmy Thigpen.
And together we're here to share a bit of what we've learned along the way. So, Tess, what's new in your world?
Yeah, so my wife and I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and yesterday I attended Blast Off Rails, which person I know locally, Travis, decided to create his own regional RailsConf because Sin City Rails and RailsConf ended last year, and he was like, well, maybe I could. And it was cool because when he spoke in his intro, he talked about how in the last year, like Blast Off Rails in Albuquerque, and there was a Blue Ridge Ruby, I think, in like North Carolina, and then there was a RBQ, which is a fun name. So just a lot of, and then a SF Ruby, so just a lot of new regional Ruby comps is really cool. And like the first like talk was about how a lot of startup founders are choosing Rails right now, and how Rails is in a good position to be like a good like agentic framework because of its conventions, and about how you can like plug those into to the agents, which I definitely have thoughts about. But it was really cool that there was like a new like local conference, and I hope it went well enough that he continues it next year, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's been so many of those regional conferences springing up as things kind of get some distance from the thing that happened that sent us all into our homes for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's really great to see the community bouncing back like that. That's an interesting take with Rails being kind of good for startups because of agentic reasons, because that was kind of always Rails's story anyway, right? That it's great for startups because of speed to MVP and different things like that. So it's interesting to see that kind of story for Rails being like built on with this sort of new universe that we're in now. Yeah, you said you had some thoughts on that. Are there any that are easily encapsulatable right now?
Not too much. I think it's I do agree that like Rails definitely like, could be whether like definitely like and like hesitant to see like action agents, like whatever Railsy name. I'm just like, I kind of don't want to see that added to like Rails, like the base Rails, but yeah.
Yeah, that does seem like that falls a little bit outside the kind of 80-20 threshold that Rails tries to be, right? Like not every app is gonna necessarily need that. So seeing that in core Rails would be.
Yeah, I just, that just reminds me of Action Cable.
Yeah, that's true. There've been plenty of those.
There's definitely been precedents, that don't follow that rule. So
That's true.
So, Aji, what's new in your world?
My world, you say?
In Scotland.
It's true. Well, okay. Yeah, we'll open that can. I could have said something about work, but it's actually more exciting that right now Scotland is in the World Cup, and the World Cup is happening in the US, Canada, and Mexico. And I'm not a huge soccer fan necessarily, but I am really enjoying the community and the excitement that is in the country right now for this event that hasn't happened since 1998. And so we're going to a lot of like watch events that are just sort of out and about, and getting to meet folks and share in the excitement and the energy. And that has been that's been really fantastic, whether it's a sport that I've followed or not. Just the energy around town is kind of electric. Yeah.
Oh, I guess that just reminded me. Just a fun thing I've seen online is folks who are visiting the United States for the World Cup, and they're like European. And I saw a skeet that was somebody who's German posting a picture of a Buc-ee's and was like, "This
Nice.
is a gas station in the United States," and he was just like posting, and it's like, "Oh my god, the Europeans are discovering Buc-ee's. This is so fun!" And it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, to see some folks from around the world discover the like American kind of we do things big here.
That is the
Kind of
most
goes,
American gas station. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, just like over the top,
Yeah, and ranch dressing. This is the thing that I hope comes out of it. That there's been posts of Europeans discovering ranch dressing, because we don't have that over here, and so I think enough people come back with the love of ranch dressing, we might get some ranch dressing over here, and I would be very happy with that. Okay, little off the beaten track, but how about you, Jimmy? What's new in your world?
Oh, I recently visited Norway, not work related, but that was beautiful country over there. More related to AI. I was thinking about, so I've been using it for a bunch of stuff, coding, and then personal stuff like which vacuum am I going to buy? Help me decide, or like trip planning. And I've just had Claude like pinned to the max effort for months, and I realized that might not be the best way to do things, because it's spending 20 minutes to like decide on a vacuum to buy, and it's just overthinking so many things, like small code changes, CSS tweaks. I just noticed too yesterday they have ultra code, which is even above max. And when you turn it on, it like makes your whole terminal like a rainbow effect temporarily, which is just even more of your overstimulating. That's what we need right now. But yeah, so I've realized, okay, maybe we don't need to use like the max effort for everything, and just like using high, which is I think the default, or even like a lesser model. So like don't just go, ooh, Fable came out, I'm going to use that for everything with ultra effort. These tools are getting so advanced. I think it's easy to go down the rabbit hole of like overthink things, like 20 times, and it's going to be a better output, but it might not always be a better output, and it might just slow you down. So yeah, there's like it's like a push and a pull. We're kind of figuring out how to best utilize these tools.
Yeah, I feel like that's sort of a phase or a learning plateau or something that I've had to go through in my own journey as a developer, is when to overthink things and when to actually just use kind of what's right in front of you, right? I think that's a step towards becoming a senior developer, is knowing when it is appropriate to explore some of those rabbit holes and really kind of dive in and put that max effort or that ultra effort onto something, and then when that's actually detrimental, right? And it's using too much time and too much of your gray matter resources and stuff. So I wonder if there's kind of a similar arc that we'll go through with the working with these new tools and things. Yeah, that has come up quite a bit in many of my conversations at work. It's come up in our conversations here already, and I think that is partially some of the reasons why thoughtbot has started a new initiative of a task force with some of our members. That is the reason why the two of you have joined me here, because you're part of that task force, and I wanted to hear a little bit about what's going on the inside, and I think folks who listen to stories about how we work here at thoughtbot that would also be interested to know what kind of conversations are happening in the company around AI. And so you're both on the AI Ethics Taskforce. Is that the name that's been settled on? Great.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how that got started and what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I guess kind of towards the beginning. So it's June right now. In like the beginning of the year, there was a lot of internal chatter about, oh, does like Thoughtbot have like a stance on, like a company stance on AI usage, and like what does that mean? Because there's so many different lenses you can take with that. Like, we as Thoughtbotters, like it's Thoughtbot, like, being like, oh, we want everybody, all of our consultants to use these tools, or the Thoughtbot, like, well, it's just another tool in the toolkit, similar how to like thoughtbot never mandated that everybody use Vim. So, is it just a similar tool of that? There's also conversations about our clients. If our clients are using AI in their development workflow and their expectations, but also the kinds of products that people are coming to us with, like they're like solo founders who want thoughtbot's help, and they've vibe coded this entire app, and they're like, okay, let's help me take it to market, thoughtbot. And there's so many different like perspectives, and I from my perspective, the task force is like, okay, maybe we can like get together and kind of hammer out like, what are thoughtbot's thoughts about this?
Yeah, I think it became clear that AI is like omnipresent. It's like coming at us in all directions, from clients, from pressure to like in the industry just to use it everywhere, GitHub, dev workflows. So I think that kind of really rooted the need for some entity to like what Tess was saying, figure out how are we going to use AI at thoughtbot and like ethically, workflow wise, just like what makes sense, what are we comfortable with.
Do you think some of those conversations spread from what we are seeing from other places in the industry of some companies either mandating AI use or token maxing and leaderboards and all of these different things that we're kind of seeing pressure to participate in these ecosystems or use these tools, whether or not they seem to be the right fit? Were those the kind of conversations that were driving some of this? Like, 'cause that's what kind of sparked in my memory as you were talking about that.
Yeah, I think so. I think there was also part of it was just the feeling that it was all moving so fast, and
Mhm.
like everything was just like, oh, like these conversations be different a month from now, and some feeling between the different developers at thoughtbot, because we have a whole like spectrum of like folks who are like really leaning into it, folks who are really leaning out of it and just be like, I don't have anything to do with it. There's kind of like a whole spectrum, and kind of on both sides of the spectrum, folks were feeling like they were alone, and we
Mm.
didn't know how everybody felt. Like, oh, maybe people felt like unsupported or felt like alone or felt like, oh no, if I don't use AI, I'm going to be like left behind by the company. Or some folks, there was a lot of like, oh, I only see negative talk internally, and like, am I a bad person for like using these tools, and I think we kind of all wanted to come together and just to like talk about it.
Yeah, that's really great. I love that the kind of starting point came from like communication and understanding, and let's all be on the same page and let's kind of share what these different perspectives and where these different camps and viewpoints and everything, where we're all starting from, because yeah, exactly, we might be overlapping, we might be missing each other more or less than we think we are, and without actually establishing that up front, it's hard to have a conversation if you don't agree on what's real in the first place.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like it would be easy to just like further silo like the
Yeah.
people that are really into it and the people that are, not as comfortable with AI. But it feels like the thoughtbot way that we would see that and then be like, no, we're going to tackle this head on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that's a strength of thoughtbot, right? Is we talk about this internally, the thoughtbot hive mind, and for there to have not been some conversation really that was the like, what is the thoughtbot stance? How do we as a collective feel about this? For there to have not been an answer there did feel like there was a bit of a gap, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm glad that the initiative has been taken to start to fill that in a little bit. What are some of the ways that the task force is going about answering some of these questions or addressing this head on, like you're saying?
Yeah, we've asked the company how we feel about AI, like what has it been like working with clients and dealing with their expectations on AI. We've put out a survey that we're currently like fielding the responses on. So the goal too is to put out some external stuff like blog articles on our learnings and kind of how we're addressing some of the concerns. We also have like our internal handbook where we plan to put some of this like concrete takeaways in, and then thoughtbot also runs consulting training for everyone at thoughtbot to join, and the idea is to put some of these like to mirror some of the real life scenarios we've had or situations we've had with clients. And the consulting training is tricky, talking with clients that are some are technical, some are not technical, so there's a fine line, and you want to be respectful and be able to respond to their expectations on AI.
Are there any of your personal experiences that the two of you have had with you're talking about clients and expectations that have sort of led to your wanting to participate in this task force?
Yeah, well, at least for me, it's kind of almost like the opposite, because I originally joined the task force because I'm very much like not into using these tools, and all the clients I'd been on, there was no like expectation that I use them. And so I wanted to help give my perspective and help shape thoughtbot's like opinions about this. And just in the last month, I've been on a new client, and they're the first client I've been on that's like pedal to the metal. Like all of our tickets, all of our PRs, all of our communications are filtered through Claude, and so this has been a new experience for me of like literally this client is the first time I've installed Claude on my work laptop, and just like being like, okay, what's a skill? Okay, I need to have skills loaded so that way it doesn't like completely go off the rails, and there's some kind of like semblance of normalcy, and it's definitely been a hard adjustment. So it was kind of like I'm glad I'm on the task force because now I have personal experiences I can lead to this. But yeah, that's kind of been my journey so far.
Yeah, I guess for me, I've been using it like to assist coding development since it sort of first existed a little bit. Like first phase was like send a ChatGPT a little code snippet and ask for help, and then we just progressed to now where it's like full on agent swarms doing the things. But I was just interested in the task force sort of around, I just want to be able to like better talk to clients about AI and like set their expectations solidly in reality while being nice about it and confident. So, there have been a few projects where we've had to like recalibrate expectations with, some non-technical clients, some technical clients, where they see ChatGPT, which is a very built out, thought out product, and they think that's a thing that you can just extend and put into the world, and it's a lot more involved. ChatGPT is a product that has a bunch of different pieces strapped onto it. It's not just a model. So it's just kind of recalibrating and like helping these people understand like what is an LLM, what is a model, and then like how do you extend the functionality of a model. There's a lot of like elegance maybe that goes into explaining that well to clients that aren't as technical as we are, because we're working in this stuff all day.
Yeah, I guess that kind of like your experience, Jimmy, is like there's like two kind of almost like client expectations. There's like client expectations around the kinds of products that like can be built. So like adding a like LLM or chatbot to their product. Oh, we're a healthcare company, we want to answer questions, and so build this on to here, and like setting expectations around that. And then there's like the other side of it of like client expectations around the code development workflow, and like folks who are maybe like product people, and then they're like, hey, I want to write this issue, and it like spits out the technical requirements into like a GitHub issue, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it's like there's like what kinds of products are able to be built, but also expectations around I am on a client and their development workflow is integrated with AI. Like, do I need to get on that bandwagon? Even if the product that we're developing is not AI, but they use it in their workflow.
Yeah, I think there's been some tension with our developers and like client developers on how much AI use is going on. Like sometimes we're very thorough in our PR reviews. That's just a thoughtbot thing that I think is great. And with AI, a lot of folks just entrust AI to just do the thing, do it correctly, and not require really any of the why or a good PR description, which I think really is something that I, as a developer, would see and I push back on. I want to know the why. I want there to be a trace that I can go back and reference.
Yeah, I think there's a larger conversation going on, I hope, around the industry of if we're going to be using these sort of tools, like how do we not lose all of the lessons that we've learned over the last decades of software development about how to do this well, and like the things that are baked into what thoughtbot is that we would be doing with or without agentic coding. How do we make sure that we're not losing that as we're kind of going into this new world, and like where does this new world fall short of those things that we hold as values to building great products, and navigating those not only with clients but also amongst each other too. Yeah, I think there's a lot of kind of emotion actually that's tied up in these conversations a lot. Maybe a little bit of like tribalism. My side likes these things, your side doesn't, and our lizard brains fall very easily into those sort of traps. Are there any of those conversations that you've anticipated in the work or experienced with the work in the task force, or are trying to maybe get out in front of? Like how has that the emotional aspect to this conversation entered into the work?
Well, I remember for our like survey that we sent out, like my first like kind of draft that I wrote up was like sent out, and then I got some we got some feedback saying like, hey, you're saying that you want all kind of all kinds of experiences using AI, but the way I had framed the questions were all like the questions were framed in a negative way, even though I didn't like recognize that. But then somebody from the outside being like, oh, you're not going to get somebody saying like a neutral or a positive experience when you're framing it as like, so what were the problems you had, like what kind of arguments did you have with your clients regarding
That's exactly
AI?
what I thought of too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I reviewed it and I was like, this sounds great, right? Everyone's just kind of mad about it. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, so yeah, let's that wasn't my intention, but definitely it's hard to write neutral. I mean, that's why it's a whole job to write neutral kind of like polling questions, or you can have polls that are like slanted in one way or the other just based on a couple of words. And so it's like, yeah, like that's why it's like a nuanced thing, to create even just like polls or surveys or yeah.
So has there been anything in this survey or in conversations in the task force so far that's surprised you? Something that was either unexpected from the get-go, or that has maybe changed a little bit of your perspective or your mindset so far?
I almost want to say this might not be surprising, but it's sort of surprising that I've read through some of the results of our survey, and some feedback is from like prospective clients perhaps using AI to even like write PRDs, which is so surprising to me. Because I feel like that's something I want to know, like how it's written. If I want to build a product and pay, to build this product, it's surprising maybe how much it's just being trusted, sometimes blindly, by parties that truly want to build a thing. There's another aspect where AI is kind of a yes man. And I think that has led to a lot of
sycophantic.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's led to a lot of people really thinking their idea is unique and special and has the secret sauce. Whereas before AI, you'd ask your friends and family and they'd be like, I don't know about that, So it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of, I heard this story of there was like a professor who like just like pulled out a pencil and was like, this pencil's name is Tom, like hi, say hi to everybody, Tom, and just like pretending Tom was like a real thing. And then at the end of the lesson, the professor snapped the pencil in half, and everybody in the class gasped, like, "How could you do that to Tom?" And he was like, "Remember, this is a pencil." And it's just like it was an example of how also as humans we imprint and are like, "Oh, this thing is like talking to me," even though like LLMs and models are, statistical data sets, and it's a fancy autocomplete. It's not a person,
Right.
but because it uses the language that we use, we imprint upon it as humans, and I think it's hard for folks to like not do that.
Yeah.
And so that's why people like implicitly like trust the outputs, or more are more willing to trust the outputs, even if it might be made up or hallucinated,
Yeah.
because it's not a real sentient thing.
Yeah.
It's autocomplete.
Oh, I was just thinking off of Tessa's point, like, we're there to like push things forward, build new products that don't exist yet. And LLMs are trained on things that do exist. And until
Right.
you have some new breakthrough with like AGI, you're just kind of like spinning the wheel and looking at it a different way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why thoughtbot is like partially, that's like why we're special. We help clients build new products that don't exist. So it's almost counterintuitive in a way to use these LLMs to like try to build out some new unique idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in the way that these tools are marketed and spoke about by the company who's most likely to benefit from their adoption, that are encouraging these ways of thinking and encouraging this trust, like that it is your PhD level friend or expert talking to you, and um, being very disingenuous with their capabilities. And that's something I think that we as thoughtbot, we as developers, are going to come up against often, of people kind of personifying these things. And it's very easy to do because partially because of the way that we're wired, but partially because of the way that they're being presented to people who are non-technical folks, right? Who are not only not aware because they're not kind of versed in the underlying technology, but also like are not interested in that, right? You don't need to know how your car works to use the roads and everything like that. You don't need to. I mean, that's part of one of the beauties of Rails, right? Is like you can get something off the ground as a fairly early career developer, and you don't have to know all of the underlying things, but you can still make good use of this tool. And so, yeah, that's a conversation that I think we're going to be having, are having, and are going to be having a lot more. And so I'm really happy to hear that that's part of what the task force is going to be kind of investigating, and like having suggestions, learning, sharing about these conversations to make all our thoughtbotters more of use and better value in those conversations with clients and prospective clients.
I was going to say, like, I know like a lot of folks are also trying just to be like, thoughtbot has always kind of tried to put into place like best practices and to be, like thought leadery things. And I think I definitely see value in folks here trying to, create skills that are, and like there's one that's like Socratic review that thoughtbot made, and it's like the intention is, to like rubber duck or like work back and forth with it, to not let it do everything, and to like use it as a tool but not to like take over. And I think that thoughtbot is in a position, given the history of it, to be like thought leadery in that respect, which would hope you could lead to like better outcomes on like the technical side. And I don't know, I just keep thinking of like Uber in the last like 6 months, where they blew through the entire year's tokens budget within by April. Like within the first quarter, they used up the entire token budget for the year because of like token maxing and all those things. And I wonder if there will be like a pullback once folks realize right now the extreme token usage is it's being subsidized because it's like any product that gets enshittified where it's like Uber itself, where they went into a market and they undercut, taxi companies by offering cheap rides. And then once folks got used to the cheap rides and put taxis out of business, then they raised the prices because now they actually have to turn a profit because they have investors. And once the enshittification of tokens and AI comes to fruition, maybe there will be, more conversations about, okay, how do we get the most benefit with the least amount of tokens? Like those will be the new conversations.
Yeah, I feel like we're living in some massive like feedback loop right now. We're like building the lens as to like where this fits best, like in the product development life cycle. Like where do we use AI the most efficiently? Mm-hmm. Where is it maybe not the best tool for the job?
Yeah, well, I can definitely say that I am very interested in hearing more about the conversations that have come out of the task force, and looking forward to reading the blog posts that you were mentioned. And I think hopefully now we'll have a lot of listener ears ready to turn into reader eyes. That's weird. I just followed that metaphor a little too far, but who are also going to be looking forward to more of what's to come, and our kind of collective conversation on this omnipresent part of our lives now. And so thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sure we will be amongst the hosts of the Bike Shed continuing this conversation ourselves, and involving a lot of the work that the task force is doing, and maybe we'll have yourselves or someone else from the group come and join us again in the future. But let's wrap it here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Aji.
Thank you.